Okay. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Algonac Board of Education for Monday, December 15th, 2014 at 7 p.m. We all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And a roll call, please.
Karen Stiltner here, Beth Engel. Here. Tim Midzikowski.
Here.
Charles Busuttil.
Here.
Susan Trebilcock.
Here.
Andrew Goulet.
Here.
Michael Baranowski. Mr. President, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Recognitions. John Sticker.
Okay, we're very privileged this evening, and I've heard it's a tradition here, but I'm certainly going to enjoy it. What a nice tradition to put us in the spirit. The Algonquin choirs here are some of the members. I realize the choir is much bigger. So Miss George, I really appreciate her bringing in the group tonight to put us in the Christmas spirit. And so for the recognition tonight, we'll have the kids come up. We do expect full participation from the audience, so it's on film for everyone to participate.
Come on, you don't want to ruin their sound.
So, but anyway.
Have a holly jolly Christmas, it's the best time of the year. I don't know if there'll be snow, but have a cup of cheer. Have a holly jolly Christmas, and when you walk down the street, say hello to friends you know and everyone you meet. Oh, the mistletoe hung where you can see. Somebody waits for you, kiss her once for me. Have a holly jolly Christmas, and the best you didn't hear. Oh my golly, have a holly jolly Christmas this year. Rocking around the Christmas tree at the Christmas party hop. Mistletoe hung where you can see, every couple tries to stop. Rocking around the Christmas tree, let the Christmas spirit ring. Later we'll have some pumpkin pie and we'll do some caroling. You will get a sentimental feeling when you hear voices singing, let's be jolly, deck the halls with boughs of holly. Rocking around the Christmas tree, have a happy holiday. Everyone dancing merrily in the new old-fashioned way. You will get a sentimental feeling when you hear voices singing, let's be jolly, deck the halls with boughs of holly. Rocking around the Christmas tree, have a happy holiday. Everyone dancing merrily in the new old-fashioned way.
Okay, we now have, like I said, this is our student recognition, and what a nice recognition, and hearing some singing, and you know, I'm glad these kind of things are on TV and for people to see. We have some great things happening. I know this is just a small representation, so girls, thank you so much for taking your time this evening and doing that. And then, do you think we ought to have the administrators get up and sing? See if you don't even want to hear that, do you? So, yeah, let's not. We're in the spirit. So, but Miss George has some certificates for the students, so we'll announce them. And then, if you could, shake the board members' hands then.
Okay. Sasha Nash. Courtney Green.
Thank you. Great job.
and Howard.
Nice job. Good work.
You sound wonderful.
Nice job. Good job. Thank you. Good job. Thank you.
Abby Goldrich.
Good job. Thank you. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thanks. That was a good job.
Thank you, nice job.
Thank you.
Good job.
Good job. Thank you. Great job. Appreciate it. Thank you. That was very nice.
Very nice.
Great job. Thank you.
And Savannah Point.
Let's give the kids a round of applause.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. Thank you. That was wonderful.
Thank you, that was so.
Thank you. That was wonderful.
It sounded great. Thank you.
Good job.
How many people were fortunate enough to go to the holiday Christmas concert last week? And so you will attest for me that I'm not just being nice and doing the superintendent thing up here it was just outstanding. I've gone to concerts, I've been in education 25 years, and these kids not only got up and sang, but they did dance moves that, heck, I pulled a muscle even watching it, let alone the things that they were doing. And really, it comes down to the fact Miss George expects a lot of them and pushes them. I heard some kids were even dropping out of the program, went and talked to them the next day because it really struck me a way that I thought I needed to talk to the kids so they understand that that's what you want. You want someone that pushes you and expects the best of them. And so she enjoys what she does. She's passionate about it like everyone else, but she's not afraid to hold those high expectations, even if it means it's not popular all the time to have such high expectations. So just a little appreciation for Miss George and what she does.
Thank you. That was such a nice job. Thank you. Thank you. Man, wonderful. Thank you.
Nice job. Thank you so much, that program.
And if any of the students and Miss George would like to hang around for this very
One more.
interesting meeting.
Just one more quick recognition. One more quick recognition while everybody's here, and then we'll have a time to break it up here if anybody would. I don't know why you'd want to leave, but that's weird. Yeah, why wouldn't you want to be at a meeting? But I do want to recognize Susan Trebilcock for serving on the Board of Education. This is her last meeting. And again, I'm going to throw, I've earned the right to throw out the years thing, and I will use it. I've been in this 25 years, and I've seen what board members go through. They're not in this for the money or political gain, and it's a tough job. And schools around the country, I can show you the publications, are having a hard time finding board members because, again, they're not in it for the money or to become senators someday. They do it because they love the children in their community and have to make a lot of tough decisions, like something we're deliberating on tonight. And so I have a very great appreciation for people that are willing to sacrifice for our children and make the tough decisions that he made. So just again, it's a small token of appreciation, but I just wanted to present this to Susan. So Susan, if you can come. I mean, that's an awkward time period there.
Thank you very much, John. Thank you. Thanks to all of you. It was an honor to serve with you.
Thanks, Susan.
Thank you for doing it. And when
You guys want to see a budget presentation? Okay, sir, if I stand. Budget presentation. Can you get those slides for me? Yeah, Andy, you want me to go ahead?
Oh, yeah, yes, it's all you.
All right, this evening I want to present the budget update process that we're going to have monthly. This will be streamlined to about a 2-minute update. It's something that I did at New Lothrop, and it worked well, and the community appreciated it, certainly as well as the Board of Education, because it was a snapshot each month of where the district is regarding the finance, and finances is a big part of what we do. And so tonight, it's gonna be a little longer, but not much longer, I really don't wanna belabor it. But basically, what I'm gonna present to the Board of Education each month is basically showing a snapshot of where we were to last year in each one of the major categories of revenue and expenditures. And so you can see here that you have the revenue from last year at this time. So you can see it's December of this time of year, or November, excuse me, November report, and it presented in December. And then you can see here's this year. And so the first line, you have local sources, state sources, federal revenue, income transfers, and other. And anybody that wants a copy of this report, we can get you a copy. And this information also could be extra, Crystal, if you can make a note, we'll post it online. That way, you see a quick snapshot presentation, you can go tomorrow and see it online. And then you can see the percentage on the side here, and I need to put my glasses on to see this up here. But you can see the different percentages. So in the first category where you have local sources, last year at this time, we had 79% of our local sources that were collected. And right there's that percentage. And this year, we're at 83%. So we have more local sources that have been collected at this time. And what I will do for the Board of Education is I will highlight areas that I see a greater discrepancy. So for example, federal sources, we've collected 7.94% of our federal sources, our finances, whereas last year at this time, we only collected 4.67. So it shows a comparison in each category from the previous year, which helps us monitor the budget and our spending. And then you have expenses, so you have the same thing. You have the major categories: pupil, instructional staff, general administration, school administration, business, operation, maintenance, transportation, central office, other services, custodial, and care of children category. This is one that caught my attention. So when I see the report, and I saw last year at this time, under general administration, our expenditure was at 34.41%. Well, it caught my eye that this year, we were at 39.81%. Then I talked to our business director, Lori, and I say, all right, we have a discrepancy here. That's around 5%. So it's something that certainly catches my eye. And basically, it is the difference between my salary and the interim superintendent, Brian Burton, salary, and that would be the difference in that expenditure. So at least again, we're able to see that there is a difference and there's a reason for that difference. And as we approach, we have what's called budget amendments. These areas can be amended. Another area that caught my attention was the custodial and care of children, which basically is our preschool program. And there's a pretty good discrepancy here from 35.84% to 46.818%. And so that's a pretty large discrepancy. Again, I talked to Lori and said, hey, what's going on here in this area? And Lori says, we had a higher enrollment in our preschool, which is good. And however, it will be balanced out with the revenue. There will be more revenue collected, so that will balance itself out. But nonetheless, that is the reason that that number is higher.
That's the whole daycare.
The whole daycare.
The whole agency.
So, and again, that's usually balanced out with revenue. Whereas a superintendent, while I will analyze each area where I feel good about our budget, and actually it's remarkable, and I've been doing this technique for years, actually for 10 years in New Lothrop, the same, except I would go 2 years back, 2 or 3 times a year just to, again, benchmark. But when you look at our total expenses, this time last year we were at 27.67%. This year we're 27.51. It's pretty darn close. So that's a number, if you hear the term bottom line, what's the bottom line? We're pretty close to last year, and so it helps me monitor that we're pretty close with our expenses to where we were last year. However, another part of your update, and by the way, you have this sheet in front of me there. I will update the Board of Education each month on where we are in terms of fund equity. And so as you knew from if you were here for last month's presentation, in July, the Board of Education passed a budget that had 1% fund equity left, and that's on a $16 to $17 million budget at $188 $232. But as you know from, if you were here last month, there's some mid-year changes that we made. And again, hats off to the teachers for reopening their contract. That was a real unselfish move and basically taking a pay reduction. So that was one of the areas that mid-year that, hey, you know, we're out of money this year, we need to do something. We need more of a cushion. Again, on a $17 million budget, $200,000 is like pennies in the bank. And so we were able to get that this year, and you can see for this month's update, and that will change throughout the year. We're at about $584,000, or about 3 to 3.5% fund equity. So each month I will update the Board of Education where we are, which helps us as we go into next year's budget. So these numbers certainly need to be looked at. For example, that number there certainly is something that catches my eye, and I won't belabor it. It's something I talked about last month. And that is for this year, our deficit is $1,382,270. So this year's deficit is about 1.4 million. And last year's ended up 800,000, I believe. So do I think it's gonna be the whole 1.4 million? No. I think we'll be under expenses like we were last year. However, it's again, it's part of what I've been trying to convey, and that is the power of a structural deficit. That it's not just a one-time, we had a bad year, a couple boilers broke. It's a structural problem that compounds. That's the compounding from last year's $800,000 deficit. It's right now, this current year, at 1.4 million, roughly. But we went into the year right now with some money in the bank, at least it's somewhat of a comfort zone, at about $600,000. But again, relative to the $17 million budget, it's a concern. So this will be the reporting system. This was longer than usual. Usually be a 2-minute presentation. I'll hand that. It'd be a simple, not cumbersome, I should say, document, a 2-sided document that shows you where we are this year to last year, and basically as we look to next year where we are in terms of expenses, revenue, and projected fund balance. Any questions?
I know that Mike Baranowski had always been, he's not here yet, but I know he'd always been concerned about where we were as far as the percentage of each line item throughout the year. So being able to have that information and especially the comparison between this year and last year, that's something that he's talked about off and on and makes sense. So that's
And
I see
something
that
else
as
Mike
different.
had talked about, we are gonna be working with this Business Officials Association that Lori is a member of, MSBO. And they have a product, and they even provide the training. It's a dynamic budget projection software that Mike has been asking for, that pro forma, the 5-year pro forma.
Right.
So we are going to purchase that. It's through MSBO. It's only $600, which is relatively a small amount of money considering the power of it, showing us 3 to 5 years out based on numbers that we plug in. So yeah, I'm excited about that. And one thing I noticed it did, certainly use Board of Education. That's what the report is designed for. But in my community in New Lothrop, it really is a step towards just building that trust of every month you'll get to see, here's exactly where we're at. So it's not a one-time thing. It's not gonna be a one-time presentation in June where, hey, here's our revision, here's where we ended up. And a lot of people are saying, well, I didn't know that was the case. It really is a monthly process of even showing our community that here's where we are this month, everybody, and here's our projections. So I'm excited about those possibilities, again, building trust with the community, so.
So the 1.4 that's projected so far will end up being less than the 1.4.
I hope so.
Okay.
But that's, again, the reason, the reason I budget conservatively, and I've never been wrong, is simply the fact that the boiler would go down, or we have this geothermal system that, by the way, we're bringing in engineers to take a look at, because we're still having some problems with that. But that's an example to where, if something would go drastically wrong with that system, and all of a sudden I'm stuck with a, $300,000, $400,000 need there. That is why you cushion the budget. So, I'm not bashful about presenting to people that I'm conservative, because, again, I'm responsible for the district, so in my book, I shouldn't use that wording, I guess. But in my book, of course I'm conservative. I can't go wrong that if one of those things did happen, that the money's there as compared to if the money weren't there, that would be a whole different situation, so.
And typically that goes down a little bit during our budget amendments, when we add in all of the carryover grants and stuff.
Right.
You know, years ago on the board, we did have all that information, and through the passing of time and new board members and new treasurers and what have you, we no longer did it. And it's nice to see it back again, because it's a good visual to see it. You keep it on your
Right.
mind a lot easier than someone just telling you once in a while.
And for everyone, for our
Exactly.
community
Right.
too, for everyone to see that, you know, nothing to hide here. Here's your situation, it's factual, so, yep, you go ahead and get the lights. Christie, thank you.
No,
Okay.
it makes a big difference. Plus, they didn't have computers way
Yeah,
back
that's
then.
right, it's a lot nicer now, so. Okay, thanks, Andy.
Anytime, thank you. Consent agenda?
Make a motion that the Board of Education approves all consent agenda items, including agenda, minutes, personal items, treasurer's report, and bills as listed items A through C.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion other than in the copy of the minutes that we're going to approve under the action item, resolution for summer tax collection? It's listed that it's calling for a 100% summer collection of property taxes in 2014, and we'd like to correct that to 2015. That's the only correction that needs to be made, so. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes, thank you. Information items?
Start with Brian.
Just a couple things from the high school. First of all, I'd like to echo the superintendent about the choir concert last Thursday. I've worked in 4 high schools and 2 middle schools, and I've never seen a choir program the quality that I saw on Thursday. And then the work that Miss George and the middle school and high school students put in was phenomenal, and it showed, and it was very impressive. This Wednesday, Bandorama, 7 p.m. In the gymnasium at the high school. Last Friday, our SAD students put on a presentation at the end of the school day about no texting while driving. They brought in a simulator to show some students, and also shared some apps that students can download on their phones that they kind of automatically respond to people when they text to prevent that. And so it was nice to see they did an excellent job. Our students did a donation, or we're picking up donations for Turning Point all this past month. We finished our collection this past Friday, and this Wednesday, myself and a couple of our students are gonna present the donations for Turning Point at the Rotary Club, which we're excited about. And lastly, our students are also now doing a fundraiser, our Staff Santa program. We're trying to raise $3,000 for some needy families. We're doing that through Wednesday, but I know the kids are working hard on it. But other than that, I hope everybody has a great holiday. Thank you.
Is Mitch back there? There he is.
Try to be quick. Morgan Beetlestone this past month, actually, his state time he ran, won the state championship for him, qualified him for a Foot Locker regional race, and out of 96 competitors, he finished 26th. But if you put it in comparison, when you go with the juniors, he was 5th overall as a junior. Wrestling this past weekend tied for first at the Marlette Invitational. Powerlifting, which is brand new, Coach Barnhart is working with some of the boys. It's an on their own thing, but Antonio Pietrowski won the 155 weight class in the Algonac, and David Daniels won the JV 207 weight class, and it was their very first competition that any of these boys have ever competed in, so that was a pretty good accomplishment. And lastly, we found out this morning that the varsity girls volleyball team was honored with an academic all-state award as a team. So they are academic all-state with a 3.65 GPA overall.
That's awesome. That's good news. Okay, Abe?
We had, obviously, a big part of my update was the 9 wonderful young ladies here today to sing for you. I will be the 3rd person to reference last week's choir concert. Just that, to let you know, there are 428 seats in that auditorium there, and we were standing room only. I told Dr. Stricker, what a wonderful problem to have, that we may have to break it up into a high school evening and a middle school evening, because there's that many people that want to come see the kids, so that's wonderful. And just to add on to that, we at Algonquin are just about, we are under 70% of our students at Algonquin take either band or choir. So we are very blessed, not only choir, but band. Our Bandorama is this week on Wednesday, and I'm sure we'll see just as much of a turnout for that. As you know, Mr. Grass does a wonderful job, as does Ms. George. So very blessed to have very great programs in both band and choir. Thank you.
Thanks, Abe.
And on the hill, we also had a choir concert with Miss George. We have had that problem in the past with standing room only, so we do break up the kids into two groups, one in the holiday concert and one in the spring. So first, second, and fourth grade performed this past week. Kids did a great job. It's always fun to watch the little ones on stage have a great time up there. Our Friday Foods backpack program is well underway. We have 75 backpacks that go out to the 3 different elementary schools, and we have 4 very dedicated volunteers. Mr. Evan Szymanski, Mrs. Stiltner, Mr. Wallace, and Mrs. Carol Cartwright. So I want to formally thank them for coming in every week and packaging up the food for us. We just finished our Secret Santa shop at Algonac BOE, so the kids are all set and wrapped and ready to go for the Christmas gatherings. So finishing up this week with some fun Christmas activities, and we're going to have a great holiday season for everybody. On the curriculum front, the math committee met in the last 2 weeks. We had some very deep math discussions, K-12. The teachers did a lot of research, put a lot of time into looking at our K-12 program and identifying some of the holes and where we may need to go next. So thank you to those staff members that stepped up to do that. English Language Arts will meet in January. We've also sent out a teacher survey for the teacher evaluation model, looking for some feedback from our teaching staff on what teacher evaluation model they think is the best fit for us in the upcoming years. So,
Tammy?
Good evening. At Fairhaven, we're also right in the middle of Christmas crazies. Christmas concert will be on Wednesday with our 3rd and 4th grade. Charlie Brown's Christmas will be presented on Thursday morning with the drama club at Algonac High School. Santa's little elves were busy last week with the help of lots of parent volunteers and Leah Cooper from our PTG. And unfortunately, I wasn't there, but I hear it was a great success, and no peeking under the trees, parents. We have lots of plans coming up in January. This plan doesn't stop just because Santa's coming. All 3 of the elementaries will participate in Babylonia, again, which is a sexual awareness program, especially targeted for elementary kids, sponsored by St. Clair, St. Clair Community Mental Health.
prevention of
And it is a wonderful program. That will have a parent component with it as well. And we also are scheduled for Cyber Safety Initiative, which is free program through State of Michigan, and all of that is coming up in January.
Last Friday, we had our holiday bazaar at Millside, and I was very impressed with all the parent help and everything that it took to put that day on. And also all the donations for the baskets, not only from our families, but from all the businesses around Algonac. So that was quite a production, and it went very well. Also, our student council is sponsoring Toys for Tots. Our first pickup was last week, and there were a lot of toys. And we're running it through this Friday, so if you want to stop by and drop off some toys, we'll get them to the right place. And also this Thursday, we'll be having our holiday concert, our 4th and 5th graders at 2:30 in the cafeteria.
On behalf of all of us, thank you for not making us sing.
Okay, I'm gonna add preschool to the list of updates, but on Kelly's behalf, I believe her program is tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night at 6.
Yeah, and I tell you, the younger they are, it just seems the more that Christmas spirit. So if you get a chance, I would encourage you to come out. Those kids are awesome. So I look forward to that myself. My update, just a few issues, and amidst all the good news items, there are a few things that I just want to make sure that the community is aware of in the Board of Education. We are having some heating issues, and it's pretty early in the year to have heating issues unless it's going to be a drastically different winter than the past winter. So we are bringing in an outside engineer to take a look at that. We are taking it very serious, and we are going to look at certainly maybe limping along with some short-term solutions, but we are looking at a long-term solution for our heating issues. The school improvement process, just a compliment to all the administrators and especially Melissa as she is leading that. We are looking, I want to make sure the community knows, we're looking for continuity in our curriculum, but we're not looking to micromanage it. And so if any of you were teachers under this program we're setting up, we're not saying to you, hey, this is exactly how you teach it. We're just saying here's the curriculum, and we want continuity from grade level to grade level within the same subject area. So it's quite a task, and I really appreciate Melissa taking that on. And then resources need to follow. We need the proper resources for the students in the classroom, and so I really appreciate her leadership on that. We are having our community committee, I'm calling it, but basically it's a community group, and we're going to meet Thursday, January 8th. And I don't know, maybe I shouldn't do it. Everyone's teasing me about it. Do we do potluck dinners anymore? Does this part of Michigan maybe not do potluck dinners? Everybody's teasing me. I thought it would be a nice thing for people to bring food in. But basically, if you want to be a part of that group, we'll have some food there. And again, I want to talk about district mission and vision statement. And I'm looking for something that is something that everyone in the community will know, and I want to talk a little bit about that. And so that meeting will be again on Thursday, January 8th. I will send something out to the group that came last time, but if there's anyone in this group that would like to be a part of that team, come out. I encourage you. It's not a closed group, and if we have to move to a location to get everyone around the table, then let's do it. And there's more food for the potluck. Just make sure you bring something. Bill, that's you too. You look like you want to get out of it there. So, but anyway, our K-8 drama program, which is on the agenda tonight, I just want to I see Christy's back there again. I really appreciate the work that the ladies have put into that, and I'm excited about that. The arts are very important to me, and I didn't know that statistic Abe gave tonight. With what'd you say, Abe? Is 70%?
It's under 70.
Yeah, that's incredible. And so, while I personally came from the athletic side of things, the bottom line is the superintendent and instructional leaders, I believe in extracurricular. There's plenty of studies that show, but I'm just telling you from practical experience, having the kids involved and having them work with coaches and sponsors and building relationships is very important. So I'm excited. I guess I'm putting some pressure on the board to pass that initiative tonight. But I really want people to know there have been a few people that have really been instrumental in getting that going, so I want to thank them for that. So, and then other than that, I just wanted to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, and I really appreciate, even after some of the tough meetings, like a community meeting we had with about 100 people, that's been 3 or 4 weeks ago, there were some very kind emails sent to me the next day. And so I really want to thank everyone for your kindness, and I look forward to getting to know you and having our first Christmas as a community with myself. I do look forward to that, so I wish everyone a very Merry Christmas with your family. So, okay. Oh, the meeting, I will send that out. That's a fair question. I will send that out. I don't have that on me right now. Okay, yep, thank you.
Board reports?
I have one. Our board flower fund is now depleted, so I'm asking our board at our reorganizational meeting to contribute $20 each for the upcoming flower fund. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Visitors and their requests.
First one, Derek Straight, is it? Regarding consolidation. Come on.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I know that there is a vote upon us tonight, and we've talked extensively. I've met many of you face to face. I've talked to Dr. Stricker several times. And there was an alternate proposal that was given to Dr. Stricker September 15th, so it's been 3 months now, to the day actually, that proposed moving the 6th grade back to Fairhaven and Algonac L, closing the 2 schools being Millside and Algonquin, and then finishing the 7 through 12 like was proposed in the original proposal. And that had some pros and cons and was structured very similar to what I think the community and everybody knows that we're facing is the financial hardships of it. Dr. Stricker and I spoke on the phone several times about the idea of it, and it was originally proposed to me that the financial impact of that would be $350,000, $400,000, I think we came up with. Well, I ran numbers and it's much higher than that, based on budgets and things like that. First year savings, and I have to say I have to thank, I had some assistance in the budgeting process. Denise and I have been speaking, Denise Towns. But first year savings, including move costs and everything like that, would be about $762,000 in savings with an ongoing annual savings of $952,000. Of course, these are ballpark numbers. I don't have exact figures for every single thing. But what I'm very concerned about is being from Fairhaven, hearing parents who are upset, hearing kids who are upset, hearing the community who is upset. We've asked about minimum number of students that would sustain our district without enrollment cuts, without extracurricular cuts, without, the things that were going to be ugly if we didn't do something. We also have asked maximum number of students, campuses, capacity. When do we have to spend more money to build on? Because of course that would impact our annual savings. I don't think that that's all been flushed out. And it makes me very nervous. As you mentioned, conservative. I like to be conservative. I think we're moving at a breakneck pace. I think that I agree with you that things have to be done rapidly in order to make this work, but also we have to be cognizant of the attrition that might happen in the district for the number of kids using school of choice. I've heard parents talk about secession from the district, redrawing school lines. I mean, there's been all kinds of craziness going on because people are just so emotional about it. The dollars and cents talk, the emotions talk, but we as a district, if we lose a large number of our population, regardless of what we do with this consolidation, it's going to sink us, and we're going to have to go back and do pay cuts. We're going to go back and cut extracurricular stuff, which we just heard we like to all be in. So I'm urging you very carefully in your minds for the vote tonight to please take that into consideration. I think it's too fast. I think the community doesn't like the fact that there's been essentially one option given to them. There was a lot of money, time, and investment in that option. The engineering studies, the building plans, everything like that was done, all poured into one single option, and I'm afraid that it's going to hurt us as a district. I'm not saying this from my self perspective, I'm saying this from the community that I belong to and I've talked to and I've heard. So I would ask that you please consider that when you're voting, because I'm really afraid of, I like the idea, I hear Dr. Stricker's vision, and I agree with it. There is some big benefits, but also as a district, if we do this breakneck, rapidly, and without consequence, I'm afraid that it could hurt us in the end. Thank you for your time. Thanks, Derek.
Thank you. Kim Schmina regarding consolidation.
So last meeting, which was what, 2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago or so, I came forward and I presented multiple studies citing multiple reasons why consolidation hurts students. I was very clear in the information that I gave. I spent a lot of time, probably too much time, looking at those studies, checking the methodology, checking the validity, making sure that they weren't garbage in, garbage out. That's the funny thing about data. When you get data, you can do a lot of manipulation with the numbers. So it's very important when you look at studies that you know what you're looking at. Because I teach at Wayne State and because research is part of my job, I'm pretty good at it. originally looked at this whole issue of consolidation, I didn't think too much about it. I heard about it back in probably late July, early August. I didn't understand the ramifications, and I didn't look at the studies. When I found out that Fairhaven in particular would be closed, and I started talking to community members actually while I was running, I found out how the community felt. Then I started digging into the studies. Study after study after study showed that students do much, much better in smaller schools. They do much worse in consolidated schools on every single metric. So what I'm concerned about is that we may have a plan to save money that actually causes our district to fail. So in the end, we may save money, but at what cost? Now, last time I spoke, I asked for time as well. I ask that you consider this as well. I believe, just as the gentleman before me, that we are moving far too quickly in a decision that we cannot, once we make, backpedal from. You close Fairhaven schools, and parents do leave, and even if 70 kids leave, that's essentially 35 families, and I've already talked to well more than that. That's $700,000. All the savings that you had with consolidation is suddenly gone. So, I brought the studies back again. I know I promised to email some to you guys. For some reason, it was being kicked back. I don't know if it was my university email or something with the school, but, so I brought in some more hard copies of the studies that I presented last time. The other thing that really concerns me is, it seems like every time that I would ask a question, or members of the community would ask a question about consolidation, in particular about the plan that as presented, it seemed like a lot of things we were told ended up with the research not being true. For instance, that we were on the verge of a state takeover, which is absolutely not true. That we were on a list to be taken over, and that was not true. That, you know, it was one thing after another, which, as a parent of 2 children in the district, concerns me. You know, if we are in financial trouble, I understand that. Then we need a task force, maybe very similar to what Marine City has, of 21 people from the community, stakeholders, to find a solution. Not one solution. Not one solution by a couple of board members, not one solution by one superintendent. A whole community solution with all of the stakeholders involved. That's how you move forward. That's how you keep people in the fold, in the family, and not at each other's throats. I urge you to postpone this vote. I really believe that you will make a gargantuan mistake if you vote for this the way it says, not when there are other options on the table. Thank you.
Thank you. Denise Collins regarding consolidation?
Hi, I'm Denise Collins. I spoke at the last meeting as well. I'm the parent of 3 young boys. My oldest is 6. He's in 1st grade. My younger 2 will be starting in the next year and the year after. I've met on a few occasions with Dr. Stricker, as well as another parent. I attended the parent-teacher meeting at Fairhaven Elementary in September. A lot of concerns were raised. We had concerns, whether it be about busing, were other options considered? Did he poll the parents? And I know Dr. Stricker had said he didn't want to patronize the parents. He didn't want to ask us a question that he already knew the answer, that we were doing this regardless if we wanted to. Knowing that, I have a problem with that. There are other options. It's obviously no one wants to close any school. That's not what, I mean, we want the community to increase. We don't want to decrease. But the fact is something has to close. a matter of, there are other options. Being held to just one option, there's a problem with that. Having students from Fairhaven being 20 minutes away from elementary schools, when East China is 5 minutes away, IC, Anchor Bay, I've already been receiving letters to move to another district, knowing that this is happening. If I wanted to move to L'Anse Cruz, I could actually make it to an elementary school just as fast, and it's on my way to work. I like my area, I like my community. I have major concerns, though. I can't have my kids 20 minutes away from me. As well as I have concerns about consolidation, having almost 700 students, 5 second grade classes in one building, 5 third, 5 fourth, 4 fifth, 4 sixth. That's massive. Even in some of the large Anchor Bay and L'Anse Cruz schools, they may be 500 children, but there's still only about 3 per grade, K through 5. There's not 5 classes in a grade. So getting to saying that the students are all going to know each other, my son isn't going to be able to know the other students in the other 4 classrooms. It's convenient and the financial, obviously financially it's more feasible, I don't disagree, but for looking at all the research on consolidation, it doesn't, financially and what's best for the kids, I would say what's best for the kids and look for a better option. While Dr. Stricker provided answers, he didn't provide definitive answers. When it was busing, we couldn't get an answer. You know, our students right now get picked up at 8:30. What time are they going to be picked up? They get picked up when middle school does, at 6:30. Getting answers in an appropriate amount of time, I don't even think there's still a specific answer. There's busing, an extra bus and a half that's proposed. But the thing is, as soon as you start losing students, that's probably one of the things that's going to fall off, meaning the students are going to, that many more students are going to be on the bus for an hour. Looking at the math, if Dr. Stricker, you had mentioned that we're about $1 million, we're spending $1 million more than we're getting in revenue. So that's $1 million that was snowballing. We've got a snowball effect of that amount. Based on the proposal, the first year we'd saved $667,000. At the information that we received previously at the last couple meetings, we had by the end of the 2015 school year, we have about $420,000. That was what we had received as the projected. As soon as we lose 11 students, we're in deficit. 11 students, and you have to make other cuts. Even if one of the other proposals it's saving the same amount, I truly feel if there's a way to keep Fairhaven open and keep something on that end of the community, considering the community is stretched so far apart, you'll be able to save that many more students. Mr. Idzikowski, at the last meeting, you asked a great question, and I appreciate it. You had asked, well, you know, a lot of people had asked you, a lot of people in the community had asked, looking at, everything looks great on paper, but there's not specific information as to, well, if you lose this many students, what's the bottom number? And Dr. Stricker had said, well, that's the thing, it's like water, it all levels out. The problem is, you lose 50 students, that's about $360,000. 50 students, $360,000. Even hypothetically, if you lost 2 kindergarten classes, which y'all know, you're not just gonna lose all those 50 students in kindergarten, but hypothetically, let's say we do, that's 2 teachers. So that's about $120,000. So you're losing $360,000, and then you're getting rid of 2 teachers, which is only saving you $120,000. So that's $240,000. You're still losing $240,000. You're not equal. It's not going to level out. If you're going to lose children, you're not going to be able to compensate teachers. It's not going to help. You're going to have to cut other things. was reflecting back on the meeting, and when the supervisor, the Ira Township supervisor was here, he had stated that he wasn't aware. And I was reflecting back on one of our meetings, it was election day, November 4th, with another parent and I, and we had asked again, have you involved the community? Have you expressed concerns to the community to meet with them? And you had met with Clay Township and other areas, and Kathy had asked, did you meet with Ira Township? And you said, well, I wasn't invited. And I wholeheartedly thought you were joking. I wholeheartedly thought you were joking, and reflecting back on it, I'm concerned if maybe you know the ramifications, that it's probably best that, I'm not certain if it was a mistake. I don't know if you were invited to the other areas, and I'm sorry that I didn't express myself how, I guess I thought you were joking. But knowing that he wasn't aware, I feel horrible that I didn't say something at that point in time, calling Ira Township and saying, hey, you guys need to get on the ball, what's going on, you need to ask to meet with Dr. Stricker. I wholeheartedly thought it was a joke, and that's my fault. But I have major concerns. Other districts and other schools are looking for our kids right now. And I think you all should take that into consideration. 11 students will put us in deficit. With this plan, or technically on the other plan, whether it be Derek's plan, which I looked at that as well, I think there's pros and cons to every plan, but having one plan, we're not leaving ourselves much room. I think that I feel, and I urge you, that more information, more research should be done to make sure this is truly the best case scenario for our children and our community. Number one, our children, but our community as well. If our community falls apart, the students are going to go with it.
Action items. Approval of a district consolidation plan. I'll make a motion that the Board of Education approves the district consolidation plan as presented. All relevant information is included in the board packet.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion? You have some stuff here, isn't that?
Yes,
This is information we've been presented before.
it was basically the November presentation.
Right. So,
I think we did a lot of discussing at the November meeting, so I wouldn't want the community to think that we're just deciding on something without a discussion.
right.
So just to reiterate the discussion that we had and the time and thought that we put into it and the outside sources that John brought in to make sure we did have all of our valid research done is important to note at this time.
Thank you. Anyone else? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That passes. Approval of a K-8 drama program.
I make the motion that the Board of Education approves the formation of K-8 drama program. All related information is included in the board packet.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? I just think this is a really great idea, and I see Christy standing back there, and for you and Carolyn to step forward and wanna push this thing and present this kind of an opportunity for all of our kids is a very, very wonderful opportunity for them, and thank you for doing that. We appreciate it. And for the other people that have been recruited to it, so. Anyone else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Overnight trip request.
I'll move that the Board of Education approves the overnight trip request to travel to the Shepherd High School individual tournament. There will be no cost for transportation, and that is for the wrestling program.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Establishing of a date and time for the organization meeting for 2015. I'll make a motion that the Board of Education establishes 7 PM on January 5th, 2015 as the date and time for the annual organizational meeting for 2015. It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll see you on January 5th. Approval of the KSS invoices.
Make a motion that the Board of Education approves the payment to KSS Enterprises in the total amount of $1,205.04 for the purchase of custodial supplies.
I'd like to request to abstain from the vote, please, due to a possible conflict of interest.
So noted.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Make a motion that the Board of Education go into a closed session at 8 PM for the purpose of discussing legal issues.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. We need a roll call vote.
Michael Baranowski, Andrew Boulay,
Yes.
Susan Trubelcock.
Yes.
Charles Busuttil.
Yes.
Tim Midzikowski,
Yes.
Beth Engel.
Yes.
Sharon Stone.
And that passes. The only order of business that the board will be conducting upon coming back out of the closed session into open session will be to adjourn the meeting. There'll be no further business conducted at that time. If anybody wants to stay and watch that exciting bit of action, we can make accommodations for you. Other than that, have a good Christmas.